I've spent over $100,000 on Facebook ads for my own clothing brand over the past few years. And what I've done is I've pulled out the top 6 tips, the 6 biggest lessons and strategies for you so that you can run Facebook ads more effectively for your own clothing brand and crush it and start making some serious sales. Tip number 1 is don't just run one ad at a time for your brand. You want to be running between 3 to 5 different ad creatives at all times. The reason for this is that when you just run one ad, sometimes we think in our heads as clothing brand owners that we have a great idea that's going to crush with our audience and lead to a lot of traffic and lead to a lot of conversions. But what you realize is that oftentimes what we think is going to work in our head, actually the market's not responding to. And so really this is a game about testing. We need to leave our ego aside and literally just give the audience what they're truly responding to based on the data. And so what you want to do instead is run between 3 to 5 different ad creatives per campaign and per ad set at any given time. And then after spending between $50 to $100 on any given ad creative, if it hasn't gotten any purchases for you, you want to kill this ad and introduce a new ad creative. The reason for this is because if after $100, if you've got a low budget here, it hasn't gotten any purchases, then you could potentially just keep running that into the future and you're just wasting money. And so we want to try and optimize this and make it as efficient as possible. The ads that do start getting you purchases within $50 to $100, those are the ones that you want to scale up until they stop working. And the whole point here is to just introduce new ad creatives regularly to test with your market what's actually working and to look at the data and to see what is truly performing with your audience. This is the way to optimize Facebook ads for your clothing brand to get the best bang for your buck, to find out what's actually connecting with your audience and to not waste a ton of money. Tip number 2 is to build your ad creatives out of first principles rather than copying other people. What do I mean by first principles? Well, Elon Musk coined this term first principles in the past 10 years. When he was building Tesla's car and when he's building out all of his companies, he doesn't look to see what other cars are doing. He thinks, how can I actually build a car efficiently from the ground up, thinking purely creatively from the beginning? What do people need? What do people actually want? If he were to just go and copy other cars and try to modify it or innovate on it, he wouldn't have been able to invent a car like Tesla that so many people love to drive and so many people are buying every single day.
I think it's also important to reason from first principles rather than by analogy. So the normal way that we conduct our lives is we reason by analogy. We're doing this because it's like something else that was done, or it's like what other people are doing.
When it comes to your ad creatives, you don't want to just look to see what other clothing brands are doing and then copy them or iterate on them. You want to come up with ad creatives based on what your market is and what your market will respond to. And so you want to sit down and truly think about your own specific market. Every single clothing brand is going to be so different here. What works for my brand won't work for your brand. What works for your brand won't work for my brand. And when I was doing this for my brand, I know that my clothing brand represents rural Canada. And so I sat down and I was trying to connect with the humor in rural Canada. And that's how I came up with so many of the different ad ideas and so many of the different ad creatives, was just specifically thinking about my audience and what will connect with them and building out those creatives from the ground up. Those are the ones where the pure genius came out, and it was so different than what people had seen, what people were seeing in ads, and it started crushing for my brand and led to thousands and thousands of dollars in sales. The hardest part about this is just giving yourself permission to be creative and to do what you really believe in your heart will work for your audience, and just remove the fear of it. One of the reasons why we like to copy people is because it's scary just trusting yourself and going for it inside of the ad creatives, but that's exactly what you likely need to do inside of your brand in order to get sales. Before we get into 4 more crazy Facebook ads tips for your clothing brand, Apparel Success is sponsored by my buds over at BrandCrowd. BrandCrowd's a logo maker tool. You type in the name of the logo that you want, smack that enter button. Thousands of logos are going to come up. You choose a logo that you like, then you can edit and refine that logo as long as you want for free until it's perfect. This is a hundo P design I made for my own clothing brand using BrandCrowd. If you're interested, head over to brandcrowd.com/apparel success and you can get up to 66% off at checkout. The third tip that I have for you when it comes to running Facebook ads for your clothing brand is to trust the Facebook AI algorithm to target effectively. In 2024 going into 2025 here, the Facebook AI targeting, whatever it is that they've got going on there when it comes to knowing who your audience is and knowing who to show the ads to is so sophisticated. It is so high level that all of the little detailed targeting that you used to want to do in the past to find your exact audience isn't as important anymore. I would trust Facebook's ability to find my audience more than I could trust my own ability to find my audience on these platforms. And so what I recommend that you do here is you run one campaign where all of the data that you're using to target your audience is coming from your email list, your retargeting list on Facebook, on Instagram, all of your previous customers in your customer list, whatever you have, put all of your data into one campaign and have them run that. And then another campaign that you run, you just leave completely open. You don't set up any targeting and you let Facebook and Instagram find your audience for you. I was absolutely shocked at how well this performed for my own clothing brand. I ended up getting so many orders for my brand, just leaving it open. All that I did was set the targeting to Canada in terms of location because I only sell to people living in Canada for my brand. And the targeting was ridiculous. It found my audience almost just as good as when I put in all of my own data, my customer data to find my audience. And so I highly recommend just trusting the algorithm, trusting AI on Facebook and Instagram side to find your audience for you because it'll likely work just as well for you. Tip number 4 is that when you build up a retargeting list for your brand, run ad creatives that are similar to the organic content that's crushing for your brand. For my clothing brand, if you go and check out the TikTok at KButApparel or the Instagram at KButApparel, and you scroll through the reels or you scroll through the posts we made, you'll see that there are a lot of posts that got hundreds of thousands of views. Some of them got millions of views. And this was an organic content style that just worked for my clothing brand. It might not work for yours, but it's that format and the formula that was just crushing for my brand on TikTok and on Instagram. People were sharing it with their friends, it was resonating with my audience, and it was just crushing. And since all of these videos were getting so many views, my audience got really familiar and used to seeing me in that style, in that content, making content for people in rural Canada. So when I took that same style and I turned it into a more conversion-focused creative, like during Black Friday, when we were running a 30% off sale, I used that exact same format of me sitting on the balcony in rural Canada with text above my head where I used to say something funny just to try and go viral. Now I turn the ad creative into something more conversion focused where I said, Black Friday sale, get 30% off, get after it. And I said it like that. And people were so familiar with the organic content that was already crushing that they were like, oh, this is the brand that I watch and I follow on TikTok all the time and I see him all the time. Let's check out his website. Let's see what he's got to offer. Let's see some of these designs that I've been wanting to buy this whole time. And they were going to it. It was absolutely crushing. As you can tell by the numbers, it was sick. So what you want to do is look at the organic posts you've made, the posts that you just make naturally to TikTok or Instagram that have crushed for you, even if it's only a few, and think about how you can turn that exact same content in that exact same format into a more conversion-focused ad and then run that as an ad, and it'll likely perform really well for you. Tip number 5 is that the whole point of your ad creative is to get attention and to get clicks, to get traffic to your website. Then it's your website's job after that to convert that traffic into customers. A lot of clothing brands think that the whole point of their ad is to convert people right away, but that's not necessarily the case. A lot of the times when in the ads, it's like really, really salesy or boring where you're just trying to sell something, people don't click or respond to it nearly as well. And so you want to think about your ads in terms of how can I get the most amount of attention, the most amount of clicks so that I can drive a lot of traffic to my website and then rely on my website to actually convert those people into customers. You almost want to think about your ad creative as like the fishing bait. And then when the fish takes the bait by clicking on the link, the website is the thing that actually sets the hook. Like it actually sets the hook and reels the fish in to actually land the fish. I started running ads that were a little bit more interesting and funny and just connecting with my audience while also still drawing attention to my brand and being within the context of a clothing brand, and my cost per click went down like crazy. I ended up driving a whole lot more traffic, spending a lot less money, and it was converting people as well because my website was doing the conversion job. The 6th tip is to make sure you know your profit margins when you're running ads. It is so easy to run ads and to think that you're making money, to think that all of this is working out for you, because maybe you're getting orders that are $80 and it's costing you $40 to get that sale, and you're thinking, wow, I'm actually making money. But then you haven't calculated how much it costs for you to make the clothing, how much it costs for you to ship the product out, your taxes, your operational expenses, all of the other expenses that go into it. And so if you want to watch a nice video on this, I've got another free video on YouTube. It's called Clothing Brand Marketing Explained: Profitable Ads. Check that video out next, because it'll show you exactly how to calculate how you're truly in net profit, not just gross profit, when you're running your Facebook ads, so that you're actually making money on the sales that you're getting. If you're running a clothing brand and you want to dive deeper with me and a community of other brand owners, check out apparelsuccessmastermind.com, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.